Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for joining me today for a video that is sponsored by two great members of our community, our little corner of the internet here on YouTube. Adam from Oregon, Adam Ulrey, and Skaght, everybody's best friend over at Reindeer Studios. These two gents are as fine of people as you will find in this hobby. I have spoken about each of them on the channel before. I consider them both good friends. And they have each sent me some cardboard that I am overdue in getting to. And we're going to start with Adam, who sent me this batch a little while ago with a nice note here, basically indicating that he had found some team sets and a couple of other shiny and modern cards, and also complimenting the show that I do with my buddy Brent called Ball Card Banter. Brent Richards and Baseball Cards and I try to do that once a month. So Adam, I really appreciate all of your support, both for this channel and for the Ball Card Banter episodes. Adam is a class act of an individual, and he sent me 3 different Hartford Whalers team sets, starting here with 84, 85 tops. And I'll probably put these back in the bags afterwards and store them this way, but of course we got to break into these and take a look. This was at the height of my Hartford Whalers fandom that I was collecting these cards in the late 80s, early 90s. 84, 85, one of the best designs on any hockey card set ever. Really reminds me of like 83 or 84 Topps baseball with that nice inset photo. So we've got here Bob Crawford, Ron Francis, the highlight of the team set and the greatest Hartford Whaler in team history. Ronnie franchise, love to see that one. And these are really crisp, Adam. I long ago completed most of these Whalers team sets, but I have a feeling at least a few of these are going to be condition upgrades for my existing cards. Here's Marty Howe, brother of Hall of Famer Mark Howe and son of one of the all-time greats, Gordie Howe. Pretty cool to see that. Mark Johnson. Look at that inset photo. Looks like an 8th grade yearbook photo there. Yikes. He could not have been pleased with that. And interesting to see him wearing the captain's C here as well. Got Greg Malone. Greg Millen with a nice action shot there. I really dig that. But again, kind of a questionable inset photo there. Feel like they could have done a little better than that. Here's Ray Neufeld. We've got Joel Quenneville, an active, I think still active coach, maybe not, but he was a coach for many, many years after his playing career wound down, and a successful one at that. Risto Siltanen, longtime defenseman. Sylvain Turgeon. And then we close out the 80-45 set with Mike Zook. And Adam also included the 87-88 Topps team set. And right on the front of this one, we have Ron Francis again, so that's fantastic. Great design this year with the hockey stick motif. Here's Dean Evison, Mike Liute, the predominant goalie for the squad really throughout the 80s until Peter Sidorkiewicz took over. Dana Merzen, Kevin Dineen, all-time fan favorite and the man who scored the final goal in Hartford Whalers history before their move to Carolina. Ray Ferraro, who is still involved in the game in a broadcasting role these days. See him quite a bit, including even on some playoff coverage, I think, this postseason. Doug Jarvis, who I think at one point held the Iron Man record for most consecutive games played, and that is looks to be an airbrush jersey. I'm not 100% sure about that, but that may be some airbrushing there. We got Dave Tippett, Sylvain Turgeon again, Stuart Gavin, and maybe it's just my eye, but it looks like the majority of these could be airbrushed. John Anderson, Ulf Samuelsson, the controversial defender, and Dave Babich closes out the 87-88. And then lastly, on the Hartford Whalers team set front, we have the 88-89s, and shout out to my buddy Mookie Chilson. I always think of him when I see this release because these are push pin design. In fact, I think I sent Mookie a few of these back in the day. But once again, the great Ron Francis, Hall of Famer and number 5 career scorer in NHL history. There's Joel Quenneville again, Sylvain Turgeon. Of course, you get a lot of repeated players in these team sets. Kevin Dineen, great shot there. Carey Wilson, Dave Tippett, John Anderson back again, Dave Babich back again, and there is Ulf Samuelsson. Always wished I was one of these folks who made it onto a card in the crowd in the background. Mike Liute, really dig the photograph on that. It's one of my favorite 88 Topps cards. And we close out with Ray Ferraro. So talk about an injection for my Hartford Whalers collection and cards that take me right down memory lane. I was an obsessed fan of hockey cards in the early 90s and collected all of those releases, which were a few years old at the time. So Adam, really appreciate you thinking of me. And then there was also this package included, which was labeled as Soccer/Shiny. And check this out. We start off with a Rookie Kings Lamine Yamal, who just scored a huge goal to capture, I think, the Ligue 1 championship in Spain, as an absolute force on the pitch, and rose to the top level of soccer or football as a 16-year-old. This guy was playing on the Spanish national team at age 16. Even now, he's only 17, I believe. So he's not even a legal adult, or wouldn't be here in the United States, yet he is doing amazing things on the pitch. So Adam, I greatly appreciate you sharing this with me. I think I only had one Yamal card, and it was not this one. So really happy to double my collection of the man, and in fact, triple my collection of the man. Check this out. This is his rookie card from Donruss. Love this. In the Spain uniform, of course. I've been looking at maybe picking up an optic holo version of this, just because I do think Yamal is a very, very intriguing young player. And then here's a great Rafi Devers, the man who refuses to play first base for the Red Sox, but a cool shiny rainbow foil there. Love that on the 63 design. We got a shiny Roger Clemens, numbered to 499 from his time with the Astros. So I may actually have to send this along to one of my Astros collecting buddies. That is just really, really wild. Love the Rocket. And that's a card I had never seen before, by Upper Deck. I don't even know what release that is from, but pretty cool Rocket there, numbered to 499. And then we close it out with a, how about a serial numbered Ted Williams, copy 93 of 99 on this Topps Gold label. Looks to be a purple parallel. So Adam, I've said this plenty of times before, and I'm sure I'll say it again, but thank you so much for your generosity. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of your support, and it's wonderful to have a friend in the Pacific Northwest in this hobby that I can exchange cards with. So huge thank you, Adam. And this is probably a good segue into the second part of the video, which is going to be cards from my best friend and yours, Skaght, over at Reindeer Studios. And in fact, it's the latest couple of Marker Doodle Mondays cards. Now, this is the Pete Rose that I had commissioned a little while back, and Skaght did an incredible job with this. And the reason this is a good segue, in all the time that Skaght has been creating these cards, I only ever missed out on one, and it was the Paul Skeens last year. And wouldn't you know it, Adam, who sent today's first package, reached out to me back then, let me know he had an extra, and sent it to me out of the kindness of his heart, keeping my Marker Doodle Mondays run completely intact from Skaght. So that was a huge, kind gesture from Adam. And I am in turn passing that kind gesture forward with this Pete Rose. And what happened here is Skaght had reached out to me and let me know, this is a week or two ago, that the Rose had been selling very well. And in fact, I think was the top selling Marker Doodle Monday card so far this year, and that there was only one left. So of course, when he told me that, I hopped on my phone and I ordered the last one immediately, just to clear him out so he could say that card had sold out. And it was funny, not long after that, somebody who had learned about this card on my channel and reached out to Skaght because they had gone to his store and were disappointed to find that it was sold out. So Skaght had reached out to me, and that gentleman had reached out to me, and I told him I would just be happy to send him the last Pete Rose. I would have left it there for him if I had known he was coming. Just bought it to support Skaght. So this card, I assure you, I have not forgotten about you, Tim. This will go in the mail this coming week, and this copy of the Pete Rose is headed your direction. And then also on the Skaght front, picked up the latest two Marker Doodle Mondays. Now, this is the most recent one here, just came in, hot out of the mailbox. Check this one out. I love the orange border on this. Jim Palmer, numbered to 50, as always, on the back here. And I really, really dig the job that Skaght does with all of these. Again, I've said it many times, and I'm sure I will cover it again here on the channel, but I can't think of a better way to spend like $6 in the hobby than supporting Skaght and getting one of these Marker Doodle cards. And the one prior to that, which I hadn't had a chance to show off yet, but I did pick up as well, Eddie Matthews for the Braves. Now, Skaght is such a class act of an individual. You know, it would have been fine enough for him to just send me the cards that I ordered, but he had reached out to me and let me know that coming alongside that Eddie Matthews was a card that he had had autographed in person with me in mind. Now, how cool is that? He went to a signing, he brought a card with me in mind, got it signed, and sent it to me just because that's what kind of a guy Skaght is. And it's this Carlos Baerga. Check out that on-card auto. This is from the 1990 Topps Traded release, card number 6T. And Skaght knows that I love all things 1990 Topps. And it's just so special and meaningful to me that he picked this out with me in mind, got it signed, sent it my way, and I will store this among my many cherished 1990 Topps autos and 1990 Topps related collection. And really, really appreciate you thinking of me, Skaght. That was just so touching. And then we're going to close out the video today with a pack rip. That's right, because when he sent me the Pete Rose marker doodle and some other things, Skaght included this hanger pack of 1990 Topps baseball, my first ever love. And I thought about keeping this unopened, but you know what? We're gonna rip into it today on the channel. I'll keep it quick. We'll go through them kind of quickly. I know you've all seen 1990 Topps a million times over at this point, but this is a set that just takes me right back. And who knows, maybe we'll get, one of the Hall of Fame rookies or a Griffey or Nolan Ryan card. See how we do here. But we start off with Joey Bell, Albert Bell, card that was really popular back in the day when I was a kid. Benny Santiago, Clay Parker. I love the design of this set. I know it is not universally loved. Craig Lefferts, Greg Gagne, Roberto Kelly. I always remember that action shot, quote unquote. I'm opening these back in the day. Tom Kelly, a nice manager card here for the Twins. Mike Witt, who I think was part of a no-hitter in 1990, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty cool to see that one. Mike Lacoste, Mike Scioscia, Dion James, Andre Dawson. There we go. There's a Hall of Famer. The Hawk. And love the blue borders there with the Cubs. Mike Gallego, Frank DiPino, and Joe Girardi. Closing out the first of 3 sections here. And we move on to section number 2. I don't think I've ever opened one of these. All the packs of 90 Topps that I used to open back in the day, I don't think I ever opened this format. So really, really cool, Skaght. Bob Dernier next at the bat rack. We got Ron Gant, Darren Dalton, Jay Buhner, pretty sneaky cool card there, Griffey's longtime teammate. Kevin Brown, excellent pitcher throughout the 90s. And there we go, Frank Robinson, manager card for the Orioles. How awesome is that? Love that. And then Edgar Martinez as well, back-to-back Hall of Famers. And I actually just showed off this card in my last video. Did a buyback rummage and pulled the buyback version of this. Mark Williamson at dusk here. Paul Kilgus. We got Bob Walk. Craig McMurtry. Scott Bales. Mike Devereaux. Don Paul. And Greg Walker. And then let's check out the third and final section. And then we'll wrap this video up. Can we pull one more Hall of Famer? And we're going to start with the 89 All-Star Glossy insert of Dave Stewart. That's pretty cool. 20-game winner. Member of the Black Aces. Lance Johnson, triples machine, if I remember, from back in the day. Stan Belinda. Danny Cox. I see an All-Star card coming up next here, and it's Ryan Sandberg. Love the All-Star cards in 90 Topps. They harken back to the original 58 All-Stars, with the National League being on a blue design and the American League being on a red design card. Chris Spire. We got another NL All-Star, Kevin Mitchell. Somebody who's been on the channel a couple times of late, coincidentally. Bill Kruger, Andy Bennis, Doug Strange. Got another NL All-Star, Hojo here, Howard Johnson. Louis Meadows for the Astros. It's an NL All-Star hot pack here with Eric Davis. That would have been a great pull back in the day as well. Juan Augusto, Donald Harris, first-round draft pick. And we close out the pack with Richard Dotson for the Chicago White Sox. So a really fun stack of 1990s and a fun trip down memory lane opening those up. A huge thank you to both Adam and Skaght, 2 amazing members of this community. I appreciate you both so much. To everybody else, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Get on over, check out Reindeer Studios Etsy store. I will leave a link below and get yourself some Marker Doodle Mondays while you can. And I'll be back soon, but in the meantime, enjoy the hobby, everybody. Take care.